Thank God SHOT Show and EWA are over. Love those events, I really do. But we made 150 videos. I'm ready to get back to my favorite kind of video, that is the in-depth review. Today, we look at the brand new Beretta 30X unveiled at SHOT Show, and we ask the question, does this pistol have any practical application whatsoever, or is it just built for fun? The Beretta 30X is a continuation of the Beretta Tomcat series of pistols, but with significant changes, all addressing areas for improvement of the Tomcat. Probably the smallest DA/SA hammer-fired gun still being made. The Tomcat was Beretta's small, compact pocket 32 pistol, designed for concealed carry or as a backup pistol. The development of the Tomcat can be traced back to the Beretta 950, also known as the Jetfire, introduced in 1952. The 950 featured many elements that would serve as a blueprint for Beretta's approach to pocket pistols in the future, including a hammer-fired double-action, single-action mechanism and a tip-up barrel. Although it lacked the fun feline-themed naming convention of its successors, the 950 led to the 25 ACP Model 20 in 1967, then the 22 and 25 caliber Model 21A Bobcat in 1984, the 32 ACP 3032 Tomcat introduced in 1996. The Cat pistols are direct blowback firearms lacking extractors, relying upon gas blowback to eject rounds. This simple operation is necessary for maintaining the pocketable size of these guns. The Beretta 3032 Tomcat, which I have here, the predecessor from 1996, was specifically designed for easy operation, again, with that tip-up barrel that allows a round to be loaded directly into the chamber without needing to rack the slide. This feature is great for individuals with limited hand strength, like the elderly or people who still watch Friends reruns. The Tomcat was praised for its compact size with decent power while still being pretty easy to shoot. When you think of smaller caliber concealed carry pistols like 22, 25, 32, 380, they can be challenging to shoot accurately. Not like they recoil all that much, but they have shitty sights, shitty ergonomics, and usually bad triggers. The Cats offer a more comfortable shooting experience due to good design, light recoil, better sights, better ergos. However, these pistols do have their quirks, such as the need to watch your grip to avoid slide bite, which can cause a malfunction and a nasty cut that won't stop bleeding at SHOT Show Range Day 2024, right, Ryan? The Tomcat, while generally regarded as reliable, could be reportedly picky with some types of ammo. It had a heavy and kind of shitty trigger. The frame would crack with too much use. Some felt that the tip-up barrel on this 3032 was difficult to use, and additionally, the Tomcat had a strangely positioned magazine release button right here near the heel of the grip. But a couple of years ago, Beretta undertook to further modernize the almost 30-year-old Tomcat with this, the 30X, and they accomplished pretty much exactly that. We got a sneak preview of the 30X on TFBTV. It was our most popular video at SHOT Show 2024 with 250,000 views. Considering that we released almost 90 videos at SHOT Show, 250,000 views on a pocket 32 pistol means that you were excited, aroused, sickened, or scared by this gun, maybe all of the above. Beretta doubled the durability of the old 3032 with the 30X by reinforcing the frame. I recall that Beretta, if I remember correctly, warned against using ammunition exceeding 130 foot-pounds of muzzle energy to prevent damage to the frame in the 3032 Tomcat, but it sounds like this is no longer an issue with the 30X. Now, the downside of that is the 30X is 1.5 ounces heavier than the 3032 right here, but that's the trade-off. My Langdon Tactical 3032 Tomcat with an optic, threaded barrel, red dot, this weighs the same as this, the plain version of the 30X called the just-in-case model. And yes, you heard that right, there exists a little-known Langdon Tactical Beretta 3032 optic ready. It includes a threaded barrel and an LTT trigger job, and it's just $649 via custom order through LTT. In other words, it's a Langdon Beretta that costs the same as MSRP on a plain 3032 Tomcat, so it's a steal if you'd rather go that route instead of getting the 30X or a regular 3032. Beretta told me that reliability was improved along with durability on the 30X, claiming that during testing they were able to fire 1,000 rounds of 32 ACP with a suppressor attached to this thing without a single malfunction. The mag release, as you see here, has changed from the button going from the heel of the gun to the more conventional and ergonomic American style release near the radial area of your grip, where you can access it with your thumb easily. But in all honesty, mag changes with this gun still kind of suck. They just suck less with this one. Speaking of magazines, a grip extension was added to increase capacity from 7 rounds to 8 rounds. I guess I'll tackle this while we're here. This is a change I don't like. The extended grip is inimical, in my opinion, to what the original Jetfire design sought to accomplish, making the gun pocketable. The gun is decidedly less pocketable with the extended magazine. Check this out. Like truly fit into my pocket. I mean, of course, I'm wearing tight-ass pants right now, as usual. But if I weren't, this would be something that would easily vanish into a pocket. You add that, and it's still doable, but I mean, you know, kind of F's everything up. Look, I'm never against offering +1 magazines as an option or a bonus in the box for a concealed carry gun, but this gun ships with 2 8-round magazines when it should be 1 7-round flush fit magazine like this and 1 8-round magazine. To make matters worse, while it looks like the 8-round magazines from the 30X will work in the 3032, the 7-round magazine from the 3032 won't seat in the 30X. I hope Beretta plans on making flush fit mags available for the Tomcat, the new 30X rather. While I'm bitching, let's talk about the grips. Are the 30X grips good? For a gun this size, they're better than good. They're handsome wood grips. They use a texture that Beretta refers to as helica pattern texture, and they include these comfortable palm swells. These are functional and handsome stocks, and in conjunction with the extended magazine, you can get a full grip on this used to be a pocket pistol, but not really anymore. Unfortunately, like the extended magazine, I feel that these grips diverge from the fundamental design principle of this concept, i.e., being a pocket gun. On the original 3032, the thickest part of the gun anywhere, as you see here, is 1.1 inches. The pistol was perfectly streamlined such that the grip or the slide, the controls, anywhere, it was never more than 1.1 inches thick. Beautifully uniform along the edges. However, the new grips here increased the width to a whopping 1.4 inches. Technically, a massive 10mm Glock 29 at 1.3 inches, as you see here, is thinner than a 30X. With these new grips. I'm hoping Beretta will make some original style plastic flat grips available for this new model because I don't think you can swap them out just looking at them because of the different position of the mag release button. While it might sound like I'm beating up on the 30X, especially when you see how bad my first shots with this gun were, you might think I hate it, and well, you just might be. Let's finish the features and specs before I keep opining. Beretta opened up the trigger guard a bit and squared it off, but some eagle-eyed viewers in the comments to our SHOT Show video noticed that the smaller angle of the trigger, the flat trigger, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's more room in the trigger guard for your finger. You can see that the new trigger actually occupies a lot of the free space in the trigger guard compared to the older curved trigger because it rests at a pronounced angle and is a straight line. That said, Beretta did manage to drastically improve the trigger pull, reducing trigger pull weight by 1/3 and introducing this flat skeletonized trigger. The new trigger on the 30X, which is being called the Trident trigger, it's not really that bad at all. To address another complaint, although I never personally had an issue with the 3032 lever to tip up the barrel, the 30X replaces it with a button that's even easier to hit. In addition to all the other features, Beretta also improved the sights dramatically with a black serrated rear sight and a high visibility front dot. If you don't like that setup, not only are the sights interchangeable now, but Beretta's going to give you the option to replace the rear sight with an optic mount platform in the rear dovetail. Moreover, Beretta had some nice holsters on display at SHOT Show, which tells me that holster compatibility will be a thing for the 30X. All of that, and they somehow managed to reduce the 30X MSRP to $599 from the 3032's $649. On paper, other than the significant complaints I have about the grips and the magazine, which can both be easily fixed by Beretta, the raw pistol itself is better in every single way than the 3032. But how did it perform at the range? And is this gun a serious EDC pistol or something you let the kids play with to distract them from fighting with each other at the grocery store? We go to Neutral Ground Gun Company, my favorite range in Louisiana. It's not really that good, but it's my favorite, partially because I own it. And we tried out the 30X after hours. The new 30X comes in a simple cardboard box, as you see here, but I'm not one to get wound up over boxes. I care more about what's inside. The 30X is a classy handgun. It doesn't exude black tie swag like the old days of semi-gloss blued Beretta pistols with gratuitous serial numbers and proof marks, but the satin stainless appearance and the wood grips give it a certain I actually wore a shirt to family dinner tonight level of sophistication. And even though this is a US made gun, the fit and finish is certainly worthy of the Beretta name. That said, my first shots with this gun were comically bad.
Dude, that was goddamn awful. Look at this. You got a hit there, totally missed the guy in the head. I mean, 2 in the head, 1 right there. 1, 2, and then, I mean, from that range, it shouldn't be that bad. Let's give that another shot.
But then again, this isn't the type of pistol you're used to shooting. In fact, I think this range review session alone, where I shot 5 boxes of 32 ACP through this pistol, represented perhaps 90% of my total overall 32 ACP trigger time in my entire life. The range experience was a blast with this gun. Recoil is very mild, and as far as the double action trigger goes, which is not saying much, this one's pretty good. The single action trigger, also pretty good. Once you get the hang of it, this gun turns out to be pretty damn accurate. At 5 yards and at 7 yards, we're dropping whole magazines on top of each other.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. 5 yards. Not so bad. Seven yards.
Things only opened up a little bit for me at 10 yards.
I mean, dude, is this a match gun? No, it's not. But, you know, 10 yards, everything in the blue.
Certainly, the improved trigger and the improved sights contribute to this improved accuracy. I can imagine that exploiting the 30X's new optics ready capability would only increase the level of performance. We only had 1 failure to feed in the first magazine, but to be fair, this gun is bone dry. I didn't lubricate it before I started shooting it. I was in a bit of a rush.
I don't know if that was me or the gun.
So I'm going to chalk that one up to break-in, or because, as usual, I was either negligent or too lazy to lube the damn thing up. But after that first failure in that first magazine, the gun itself had no issues. Now, I did have a magazine that 3 times ejected the last round fired with the last round unfired. If you see here in slow motion, that's a dead one and a live one popping out of the action, which would make me concerned.
That, hold up. Oh, I only had 1 in there like a dumbass, I guess. Damn, that was a good shot too. Look at that. Sitting here counting my shots, and I'm like, man, I feel like there were 8 in the magazine, because you can get 8 in these mags, and I would get 7. And it's like, okay, well, I am 41 years old, got a touch of Alzheimer's right now, so I'm thinking maybe I'm miscounting. We're walking around and we're finding little live rounds all over the ground, and then sure enough, Ryan just caught it on camera where you can see, for whatever reason, it's like the last round in these magazines is boop, popping out with the last shot. That is suboptimal. That is not what you want.
Check your magazines before you decide to carry. Oddly enough, this completely stopped after maybe the first box of ammo, but it does illustrate why it's so important to put anywhere between 5 and 10 boxes through a pistol before you carry it for the first time. Other than that, which issues I guess I'm willing to look past for now, I was pretty shocked at how fun and accurate this little blaster was. Even though the magazine release button has been relocated, magazine changes still aren't all that easy. The magazines don't exactly drop free all the time.
It's just the nature of the beast, but the serrations, you know, not very big. The slide's not very big, so, you know, it's easy to kind of F up the reload, especially considering that there's no slide stop, right? There's no last round slide hold open on this, so you've got to actually rack it, which makes it a little tricky.
But again, this isn't a problem that needs to be fixed. The gun doesn't need like a big mag well on it. This is a gun tailored to a very narrow set of circumstances. A pocket pistol, or it should be a pocket pistol, loaded with an almost effective cartridge that's meant to be the 380's little sister. But to be fair, as small as this gun is, it's larger and heavier than the Kel-Tec P3AT, and it closely approaches the dimensions of the actually at parts thinner double-stack Sig P365, with only a couple of ounces standing between 9 rounds of anemic 32 ACP and 11 rounds of 9mm. And this is more expensive than the Kel-Tec or the Sig. Why then would anyone spend $600 on the 30X? To get the answer, I went to one of my favorite gun subreddits, one that I've mentioned a couple of times before on this channel. There's this quirky little corner of the internet where anachronistic caliber hipsters, 5,000 of them, believe it or not, gather to celebrate the miracle that is 32 ACP, hanging on for dear life in modern society like Sydney Sweeney's bikini top. To my surprise, in spite of the relatively small size of this community, I got well over 100 comments in response. I tried to read as many as I could, and I'll actually link the thread in the description if you guys want to go check that thread out. Just like the CZ subreddit, these guys with no apparent reason whatsoever are enthusiastic about their community, which is why I love them. I received so many responses that I just exported the entire comment section into a CSV file that weighed the comments by upvotes, exported that file to ChatGPT to summarize the most popular responses, and they are fourfold. The number one reason why people like 32 ACP or the 30X, and I happen to agree with this wholeheartedly, is that this is about as small as you can possibly make a DASA handgun and it still be suitable for self-defense. In other words, this is the maximum caliber that you can fit into the minimum size double action, single action gun and it still be a pistol. That means that the 30X has the potential to be pocket concealable, easy to carry, easy to hide, and still in a somewhat effective caliber. Related to that, the number two reason people like this gun in this caliber, something that my sexual partners have always said about me, and that is the 32 ACP is barely adequate. To quote one of the most popular comments from that thread, 32 ACP is the smallest caliber that's reasonable for self-defense. The only way you can go smaller, 22 or 25 ACP, those are bullshit calibers, almost universally disapproved of as self-defense options. Some of the commenters sent me to Lucky Gunner's ballistic tests. Note that, per the FBI's testing, the minimum acceptable penetration through ballistic gel for a round to be considered terminally effective is 12 inches of penetration. Penetration is considered the most important factor, with expansion causing temporary and permanent wound cavity being the second most important factor. 32 is capable of meeting penetration standards, that 12 inches, but the round's already 15% smaller in diameter, about half the weight of 9mm. That all said, I was still surprised by the barely adequate results. Out of a 3-inch barrel, Lucky Gunner showed that Corbon 60 grain will average 14 inches of penetration, but the trade-off, so-so expansion. This .32 caliber expands to .39 caliber. Now 60 grain Buffalo Bore and 65 grain Hydra Shock, they both expanded slightly more, penetrated slightly less. Both of those rounds penetrating about 10 inches, but coming in at the mid 4 caliber range of expansion. Note that the Federal 65 grain, slightly heavier bullet also. This is a far less effective round than 9mm, but you're getting trade-offs. We already mentioned size, and then our number 3 reason people like 32, recoil management. You can get smaller and lighter 380s than the 32 caliber 30X. I know for fact that the Car P380, excellent pistol by the way, and the Kel-Tec P3AT, supremely underrated pistol also by the way. They're both smaller, they're both lighter, and they're both more powerful than the Tomcat, but they both kick like a bitch. 380 is simply going to be much snappier in a gun this size than 32. While this 30X is flat out pleasant to shoot. It's a whole lot of fun, honestly. I've got to mention that this is a handgun that would be suitable. Also, I mentioned this previously, recoil sensitive individuals who might not have the hand strength to rack the slide, because you can charge the gun just by hitting this button, using the tip up barrel, loading it, closing it, requires very little effort to do. So in addition to its small size, the added benefits of 32 include light recoil and ease of use. The final reason why everyone loves 32 guys just like it, bros. I'm going to straight up read the quote from ChatGPT as to the final reason why the community loves the 32 ACP. Affection for the caliber, Some comments expressed a general fondness for the 32 ACP, suggesting a community of shooters who appreciate the caliber beyond just its practical aspects. So sweet. And I get it. After this review, I get it. Would I recommend this gun for concealed carry? Only in the most limited circumstances. As mentioned, if you have a person who's recoil sensitive or who can't properly manipulate a small semi-auto, or a 38 special or a 380 is way too difficult for them or too much recoil, especially in a small format, this is your gun. There's nothing else that fits here other than maybe a 32 caliber revolver. You've also got some commenters who I completely agree with, who are using this as a situationally dependent firearm on a low-risk day-to-day or for short exposures to aggressive individuals of a transient sub-overpass lifestyle. For example, I'm lucky or unlucky enough, depending on how you look at it, to practice law in a private building with a private garage, armed security, and multiple ID checkpoints. Pretty low risk. On top of that, I can carry as big a gun as I want in my briefcase, and I also wear tailored suits to work frequently, which don't lend themselves to carrying large guns. For me, a smaller than ideal but still functional carry pistol is a great option, and honestly, if I trick Beretta into sending me a holster, this could go into the rotation. This also works as a beer from the bodega blaster, a gun that you just toss in your pocket if you're going to run down to the gas station, get a six-pack, or walk the dog around the block for a couple of minutes. Finally, this gun is just cool. The very, very few practical applications I just mentioned aside, you know you're buying this gun because it's neat, and that's okay. I'm encouraging you to do that right now, in fact. Look, if you can carry a Sig P365 or even a Glock 42, please do that instead. If you want a really tiny gun for purely practical purposes and you want it to be a 32, then get a Kel-Tec P3AT, save yourself a few $100. But if you want a nice, accurate, handsome handgun, possibly something that you could even pass on to your kids someday, like an heirloom piece, this is that nice, this is that gun. But you do have some pragmatic uses versus everything else that's available out there. Lower felt recoil, best in class trigger, you've got the tip up barrel, you've got the better sights, you've got the ability to mount an optic and to change grips. Can't do that with a Kel-Tec P32. Look, this isn't the best concealed carry option by a long shot, but it ain't so bad either. So if I said anything about this pistol in this video that resonated with you, maybe give the 30X a shot whenever it finally shows up in stores. If you like this video, support us on Subscribestar, subscribestar.com/TFBTV. Please, I didn't accept anything from Beretta, not even this gun, even though I probably will buy it after this review. In exchange for doing this video, I rely on you guys to support us, so make sure you go to subscribestar.com/TFBTV. We give away 6 $250 gift certificates to Top Gun Supply every single month. We give away 4 $100 gift certificates to Blue Alpha every single month, only to our supporters. So check the link for rules. Make sure you go support us. Thank you, as usual, for watching. Take care of yourselves out there.